that mean I have to do it?
No, not yet. We're going to do something on the video.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Today is August 12th, 2025.
We are Karina, Elena, and Natalie Bergstrom. We will start with the prayer. Pastor Seth Nolan from Heights Church will lead the prayer.
Pastor Nolan, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate what you do for the community as well as your congregation.
If you join me in prayer. Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather, to see this great city be governed. Lord, I pray a blessing over Hendersonville. I ask, Lord, that you would give our leaders wisdom as they navigate through the decisions that they make for this city. I pray, Lord, that even as they approach this meeting tonight, God, that you would bless them. You would help them, Lord, to lead with wisdom from heaven. God, I thank you that we have the opportunity to prioritize your presence. And so we ask, Lord, that you would have your way and that your kingdom come and your will would be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, we know that there are many requests here present tonight. Lord, meet our needs, but also, Father, draw near to us as we draw near to you. I pray specifically for Jeff tonight and his cousin Adam, who is involved in an accident in Oregon. God, meet him in his point of need as he has a hospital stay in front of him, and bless their family, Lord, as they navigate through this trying time. God, I know that there are many other unspoken requests, and so we just ask, Lord, that you would have your way in our lives and you would meet us where we need you most. We thank you for the opportunity. It's in your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And again, that's Seth Nolan. He's the senior pastor at Heights Church right there on Center Point Road. Go ahead.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Karina, Elena, and Natalie. Appreciate y'all doing that. They were our mayors for the minute for tonight. Next, I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept our agenda. So moved. So we have a motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda? Alderman Goodwin.
I'd like to defer under ordinances and resolutions number 1 to the next meeting.
So defer or withdraw? Withdraw you can do yourself since you're the only sponsor in attendance. Deferral takes a vote.
Withdraw, and can we bring it back?
Absolutely.
Okay, yes,
Absolutely.
withdraw, please.
So typically, we if something is withdrawn, we bring it back to the next meeting, but it's up to you. So
I would like to withdraw.
Okay, so since she's the only sponsor here, we're going to withdraw item number 1. Any other considerations or suggestions on our agenda? Okay, so we just have that one change, and that's withdrawing item number 1. All those in favor of approving the agenda with that one change, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Next, we're on to presentations. We have none. We have no public hearings. I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the minutes that were provided to you in your packet from our July 22nd, 2025 meeting. We have a motion from Alderman Bergdorf and a second from Alderman Ward. Any discussion? Alderman Sassy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. On the minutes, let's see, it is page, well, it's when we took the break, so it's going to be page 8. And when we took that break, I just wanted to clarify or make a note that I did say I was an A on the break vote, so to change that to 11 to 1 if we could.
Where is, help me out here, where is it?
At the bottom of page 8, Skidmore moved, Ward seconded a motion for a 5-minute break.
Oh, instead of saying it was unanimous, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Okay, second from Alderman Robertson. You got that in there?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor of making that change, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion of approving the minutes with that one change. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. David Lucky, Clarendale Place.
Good evening, David Lucky, 110 Clarendon. I'm going to apologize in advance if I jump around a little bit. I didn't have much time to prepare. I'm here to speak on, I think it's item number 2 on the agenda about the multifamily moratorium. As a property owner and a developer in the city of Hendersonville, I'm opposed to it for a number of reasons. But mainly because I don't think that any of the reasons in the ordinance actually apply. I'm going to address several of those. One is the evaluation of impact fees. This board's taken up impact fees several times. A moratorium's never been required in order to take that up. I don't know what's changed other than the position of the board to try to dissuade or not allow development to be approved or occur in light of when impact fees might or might not be implemented by the board and the city. So I would strongly recommend that we don't have a moratorium just to try to provide time to evaluate impact fees when they've been routinely evaluated before the board without a moratorium. In the ordinance, it mentions strained public infrastructure, traffic, overall quality of life. The city has a long-term transportation plan, and generally projects cannot be evaluated about traffic or other things until they're brought before the planning commission, and at that time it's evaluated and trade-offs are made with the developer or sponsor of a particular project, and therefore it doesn't need to be delayed in order for it to be evaluated, and a moratorium is not called for. Current zoning and land development regulations. This is a head scratcher to me because the city and the board went through the whole approval process on the Westlake overlay to try and improve the west side of Hendersonville, West Main. There's been a lot of discussion about the vacant buildings and properties needing to be improved. You put a plan in place for capital to come in and be invested in the city, and now you want to effectively say, well, stop for 9 months so we can evaluate this. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, to a business person from the outside looking in, why would I come invest capital in the city of Hendersonville or tee up a project knowing that the board's going to come in and do something and totally shut it down? So effectively, you've taken the use away from the properties that you wanted improved under the Westlake overlay, whether that be tall and skinnies, whether that be a larger multifamily project, and whether you want to talk about it in public. In order for the West Main corridor to improve, it's going to take redevelopment, and it's going to take multifamily in order for it to be successful. It just can't be without that. There's not a retailer that's going to locate there or another large property taxpayer that's going to locate there. And speaking of that, I'd look at projects through the prism of profitability, and I looked at the tax revenue. 6 of the top 10 taxpayers in the city of Hendersonville are multifamily projects. Another 2 are some type of higher density, age-based multifamily project. They don't require streets to be improved inside the project. They don't have trash pickup. They pay the most in property taxes. They have everything else inside the community is private except for some health and safety. They're sprinkled, so they're even, what can be considered more of an asset and a higher level of fire protection.
David, 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll speed up. This, it's not like me to talk too much. Well, I was going to get into some money things, but I'm against it. I think that I think y'all can handle it without putting a moratorium in place. I was going to go through several other things, but I think y'all are making a mistake. And the business community as a whole will look at this and feed into the narrative that Hendersonville is hard to work with, and this is a mistake on the part of the city.
David, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next item on the agenda, we have nothing under the consent agenda. Under ordinance and resolutions, item number 2, this is first reading of ordinance 2025-14. This is an ordinance imposing a 9-month moratorium on the acceptance, review, and approval of applications and permits for high-density residential developments within the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. I need a motion. We have a motion from Alderman Martin and a second from Alderman Sassy. If we have a couple people in the room that might want to speak on this, we could suspend the rules to hear from them if we wanted to. But I'll leave it up to y'all as far as the discussion. So who wants to go first? Nobody. Alderman Evans.
All right, I'll dig in. I've thought a lot about this, and I really didn't know what a moratorium was, so I had to do some digging, and I've talked to a few people. While the current moratorium targets high-density housing like apartments, condos, and townhomes, these type dwellings are necessary in our city, and I look at these dwellings that we have throughout the city, and I'm not saying that I want to have a lot more of those. I don't want it to be like Antioch was back in the 70s and the 80s, or even Madison, but there is a need for that type of dwelling in our city. I said, Debbie and I teach a young professionals class at church, and each Sunday we'll have between 40 and 50 young adults. These are people who are in their 20s and 30s. They would love to live in Hendersonville, but by and large, most of them don't live in Hendersonville because they can't afford to live here. They live in apartments in Nashville. Most of them live in Gallatin. And while I know that we're talking about high density here, I understand what Mr. Lucky is saying about what kind of message that sends to the business community and to people who are outside Hendersonville. I think our planning department does a great job, and I think with our city, we do have some strict laws and some strict codes and zoning, and for the most part, I think those are needed, and I like that we have those because that adds to the beauty of the city and what we have. But that's why we have a great planning department and a great planning commission. We have to consider how these restrictions will look to the community and to the people in the business community. While we're talking about the high density, is it sending a message to businesses that say that we're difficult to work with? We already have strict laws and codes. We're going to add on a moratorium. Yes, okay, it might be 9 months, but it is also in here where it could be longer than that. But then you add on that the fact that we are considering impact fees too. I step back and I look at myself as a business person. Would I want to do business in a city that's going to be difficult and I have to jump through all these hoops to do this? I'm going to go someplace else. And I think about all the people in our city, and all of us say, well, we want to be careful with the growth. We don't want any more growth. but yet we want the businesses to come here. We want the restaurants to come here. We want better restaurants. We want Trader Joe's. We want whatever. Think back, we now have Costco here. And for years, people kept clamoring that we want Costco. Well, while, again, I know we're talking about high density here, but again, it's this kind of legislation, this kind of thing, these kind of ordinance that we're putting through that does send a signal to people that we're difficult to work with. And I'm concerned about that. I think businesses will go elsewhere. I have concerns, many others do, about the potential negative impacts on this, and I think they will be long-standing impacts to this. We may think that, okay, in 9 months, we're back to wherever we were, but I think there's going to be some long-term effects of that, and I think we have to be careful about the consequences of making a decision on this, especially when we're going to be looking at impact fees in the future. Again, I think our planning department and commission already thoroughly review new developments, and with BOMA giving final approval, and I'd like to see us, instead of a blanket moratorium, I believe we should trust our current process with our planning committee and evaluate those projects individually. I prefer not to have a moratorium. Thank you.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Alderman Goodwin.
I just have a question and a comment. I'm here for what my constituents want. May not always be what I agree with or disagree with. And I've had a lot of constituents that have contacted me wanting this moratorium, want the building to stop. My question is for Mr. Ray. If this passes, are we okay to do this?
I mean, there's not a simple yes or no answer to that. Anytime that you take someone's right to full use and benefit of their property, there's always risk. And a court could look at a number of things. Does it serve a valid governmental purpose? Is it reasonable in time? But, you know, in some cases, a moratorium may be absolutely necessary. Sometimes it may not be necessary. It's going to really be up to the board to determine if it's necessary here based on the reasons given. But yeah, anytime that there's a regulatory taking or some kind of taking of somebody's property, you know, that can be an inverse condemnation. So there's always risk to doing that. That's what my answer would be.
Alderman Goodwin, anything else? Okay, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to say, Alderman Goodwin, I really appreciate what you just said. We don't always agree with what's up here, but you know, we're up here to represent, right? And you're doing the right thing by representing your people, and I appreciate that, whichever way that is. You know, my constituents may think differently than your constituents, so I just wanted to make sure you knew I appreciate what you said there. That was spot on. But tonight we take up our ordinance, which calls for a 9-month moratorium on high-density residential developments. I'm a proud co-sponsor and strong supporter of Ordinance 2025-14, and I believe this is a critical step for Hendersonville. Our city is growing faster than we thought possible, and with that comes challenges. High-density projects constrain our infrastructure and services like traffic, parks, emergency services, and stormwater systems. These aren't just inconveniences, they impact the quality of life we cherish here for all of our citizens. This moratorium gives us breathing room to ensure our growth doesn't overwhelm our community. During this moratorium, we won't just be twiddling our thumbs. During this time of pause, we will be reviewing a critical topic to the future growth of the city, impact fees. We will also continue to review needed infrastructure and capital improvements like we did just last night in our capital projects committee. These efforts are key to shaping a Hendersonville that works for everyone and is to the benefit of the citizens of Hendersonville. The moratorium lets us complete this work carefully so new developments align with our vision and don't disrupt the character of our neighborhoods. This isn't about stopping progress. We're simply taking a moment to plan wisely and protect what makes our city special. We won't let our city fall apart or lose focus, and make sure Hendersonville continues to be one of the best places to live in Middle Tennessee. I urge you to support this moratorium. It's a practical, necessary step to keep Hendersonville moving forward thoughtfully and with accurate forethought. Thank you.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on this, and I support this ordinance. We've just had a very contentious budget season, did we not? When we had to find the money to fund the police and fund the fire department. We need to take a minute and look back and see where we are. So I would, at this point, to see where we are, see where our city's going, and this is only for multifamily. This ordinance only addresses multifamily. But with more people come more safety needs. With more people come more drain on the resources. With more people, yes, it's part of life in the big city, but we have to address it well, push a pause on this, and come back to the table in a few months after we decide and see what the results of the impact fees are, where we can use them, where we can utilize them, and where we can best serve our citizenry. Even tonight, we're talking about working on lateral moves, building an ordinance so we can get more fire department staff and more police into the city from other agencies because there's a shortage out there. We're trying our best to fill this public safety need. And that's just one of the pieces that we need to consider when we talk about growth and planning. So I support this ordinance, and I hope my cohorts will. Thank you.
Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I have some questions for Director Free. Don't worry. I think we've already talked about most of this. Director Free, I contacted you, I don't know, a week or two ago and asked you how you thought a moratorium would impact the quality of future growth. And you told me that you just didn't know. You couldn't answer that question about specific to the quality of future development. But since we've talked, I've reflected more on it, and I would like to know if you can answer the question as to how a moratorium on 8-acre or more residential growth could impact commercial development.
Yeah, I think that's going to be difficult for me to answer. I want to be cautious, depending on how the vote goes. I don't want to put the city in a position, in any kind of difficult position. But it's difficult from a professional standpoint. We haven't really had a moratorium, so professionally I can't really address what those positive things could be from it and what those negative things could be from it as well.
Would you say that it's true that commercial development is dependent upon rooftops?
Yes, it is. I think from a general perspective, in our specific community, we're going to continue to grow over the next 10 years as we grew in the previous 10, which is based on projects, residential projects that were developments that were approved years ago. So we're going to continue with an increase in population, as well as in the county and in White House and in Gallatin. They're going to continue to grow, and of course we're a central retail service area, so our retail areas will remain strong as well. So that overall growth is important. The necessity of it necessarily in our specific community to the strength of our commercial areas. You know, it's a little bit different than just how many houses and units we're building in our community. It's the totality of what's being built within our service area.
Okay. So we benefit from our neighboring cities
Yes,
building homes,
that's correct.
basically. Can you talk to me about how many properties are currently zoned in this way? 8 acres or more?
8 acres or more.
I mean, 8 units per acre.
Yeah, 8 units an acre. That would actually fall within, you know, we have the planned developments, we have straight zoning. In straight zoning, I think we only have a couple of pieces of undeveloped multifamily property that this would fall into, that could be built up to 15 units an acre. Any other projects, you know, would require a rezoning to multifamily or would require a planned development, which could increase the number of units. But for it to increase the number of units up to the 15, it would have to be multifamily planned development, or it could be maybe a MXC planned development or something of that nature.
And you had mentioned to me when we talked, whenever that was, that there were 2 properties on the Walton Ferry Peninsula.
Yes.
And what about on the Indian Lake Peninsula by the Maples? Isn't there a property there that's zoned that would it could potentially be impacted?
No, that particular property, with the way the moratorium is written, it wouldn't impact anything that already had an active planned development. And I believe that's a part of the greater Maples development, so it would not be impacted.
Okay. Thank you for that
You're welcome.
clarification. I think my last question for you is, I was trying to think about today, the last time that we approved something that was about this level of density, and the thing that came to mind was Grace Place. The most recent thing with this level of density. Does anything else come to mind for you?
I don't know. I don't have the numbers for Grace Place. It might have been close, but I don't know that it was 8 units an acre. The Nearwater project that we discussed in General Committee, and it just recently went to Planning Commission, it's actually 7.99, so it's close to that. So Nearwater is probably a pretty good example looking at that. And keep in mind, as you're looking at units an acre, it's units an acre based on the totality of the development. That includes everything. So it's not just the individual
right.
lots, it's the open space and the roads and everything.
Yes, it includes the green space and
That's
all
correct.
of that. So, it sounds like, I thought that Grace Place was, but maybe it wasn't. But,
It was multifamily planned development.
maybe not this dense.
But I just don't have that number of what that specific density was. And they did
Sounds like
reduce,
it's
they
been
did
a
reduce it,
while.
I believe, from what it originally got approved. They did actually reduce that number.
I think that's.
They amended their plan.
We originally approved
Yeah.
more, and then they
It's more cottages,
changed
where
their
before it was
plan.
kind of more apartments with
More
a few
apartments.
cottages, but now it's
That's
all
right.
cottages.
Yeah. I think that's all I have for
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Just want to point out that Grace Place is a project that benefits our community beyond measure. And if a moratorium had been in place, we potentially would have passed on that without even realizing that we had passed on that. And then I have one question for Lance. Lance, what is the likelihood that you would tell us in a public meeting that we were going to lose a lawsuit? Not much. I got you. Okay, that spoke volumes. Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome. No, I mean, yeah, I'll go back to my previous answer.
Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, but that's all I have.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Robertson?
I think, Lance, what you just did was punt, and probably a wise play at this time of the game. I would like, Keith, please come forward. I would like some information provided to the board for the second reading of this. I would like an exhibit of all existing vested properties that would be considered high density by the definition in our zoning.
I'm sorry, all existing that are currently built out, or?
No, that are vested.
Okay,
That are vested, that this moratorium wouldn't touch, correct?
right.
This moratorium doesn't touch those that are vested, that have already been received authority, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I would also like an exhibit that would show the properties of non-vested that could be potentially high-density developments. Is that possible to do?
Yeah.
Is that, you can do that? Okay.
Before the next meeting.
Okay, how, we have had, I've been on the board, some people say too long, but I've been on the board now, about 6 years, a little over 6 years. And we have not had a de jure restriction on high density, but we've had a de facto. And by de facto, I will say that it's my knowledge, I've looked back over my records, I don't think Grace Place fits that 8 per acre, the current plan. The only one that I'm aware of that fits that is the Hickory Apartments by Hobby Lobby. And I voted against that high density. In fact, since being on the board, I've never voted for a high density in relative to the definition, 8 per acre. Mm-hmm. The only one that's come before, since I've been a board member, was the Hickory, and I voted against that. So I think we've had a de facto restriction on that as it is. How would this resolution or this ordinance affect the Westlake plan? Would it supersede the Westlake plan? Mr. Lucky mentioned that he didn't think that the Westlake plan would work if we have such a restriction. So how would it affect that? That may be a legal question, or planning, whoever wants to answer it.
I can.
Lance wants you to answer it, Keith.
How would it affect it for what's in the works right now, or how would it affect it, Alderman Robertson, overall? What do you mean, how would it affect it specifically?
All right, the Westlake plan is my understanding, and I know Ward 2 aldermen have a much better knowledge of that than I do, but the Westlake plan on residential went to 2 per acre, 3 per acre? What's the restrictions on residential on the Westlake plan? Do that. 2,
Yeah.
4, and 6?
Yeah, I think it's 3, 4, and then there are a couple areas with the future land use plan, not zoned for it, but teed up where it could move forward with the rezoning. We don't have one waiting to happen that could take it to 5 units. So I think the maximum within that specific area with the rezonings that were done, that I think about 5 units an acre. That doesn't mean there couldn't be a project that came forward that had more, that was maybe some mixed-use project that might have a higher density. But as far as the Westlake plan itself, I'm pretty sure it is limited to the highest is 5 units an acre for some of the potential redeveloped
So this
areas.
wouldn't affect the Westlake plan? Because the trigger here is 8 per acre.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect the Westlake plan. If there's something we're not aware of that has a project that would want to move forward, higher than 5, or get up to that 8 than it would, but at this time, I'm not aware of a project like that.
Yeah. Mayor, may I ask Mr. Lucky a question, since he's a developer, and I would like to ask him, has he ever developed in Hendersonville a high-density development of 8 per acre?
Okay. Without objection, we're going to ask Mr. Lucky to come up here. You have no obligation to answer questions.
No, if you don't want to answer it, that's fine.
But I'll tell you this, I'm pretty strict about answering questions. Answer the question, and then we're going to go back to the person who asked it.
Not in Hendersonville.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I do have a site in Hendersonville that's apparently vested.
So you could build on that?
It's
If
my
it's
understanding
vested.
from what Keith said a moment ago.
Yeah, you're vested. Does that make you feel any better?
I still think this is a bad decision.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I didn't have a hand in drafting this ordinance. I do think, though, in the 5th whereas, where we talk about how high density of developments affect traffic, parks, emergency service, stormwater management. If I had been drafting, I would have added public schools too, because it significantly affects public schools, that kind of high density. But that's not in the but I wanted to state that for the record. I think it does affect public schools. Okay, I think that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. We're going to go to Alderman Skidmore next, even though Alderman Evans pressed his button first. Alderman Skidmore hasn't spoken on this yet. Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you. If he was in the queue before myself, I would be glad to yield to. Are you sure? Because if you're like me, sometimes you have a brilliant thought, or you think it's a brilliant thought, and then someone else goes up first, and then go, doggone it, I forgot what I was going to say. So I don't want to hold that for you. So if you'll just write it down, that's what I usually do now, is write it down. Keith, I just have one quick question. It's simply a yes or no question, and it's not really anything putting you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Within the next, in your department, has anybody come to you with an apartment or high density development that fits the criteria of this ordinance tonight?
Yeah, we have those. I had one today. We have those typically every week where somebody's calling about a general project, but I have no specific project that I'm aware of at this time.
You're aware that it's coming within but I mean, it could work out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Would be, but as of now, we don't have anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the work you and your department do as well. It's outstanding work. I don't know that I could do it, but that's why you're there, and that's good. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. When this kind of really originated out of some of my distinguished colleagues that came to me and started talking about it, and I really started thinking about this ordinance, because I'm not a real big fan of touching the development, not the community, but just development and time for it not going through the process. And I mean by the process, and I'm talking about 30 years of experience of myself as an alderman, going through the process, the planning commission, and comments from the citizenry and things like this. But I started really thinking about it, and I think of the things that the city has done in the past 8 years or so, and I actually think now the time has come for us to answer the people of Hendersonville. The people have come to us. Now, I can't speak for all the aldermen, but I can speak for myself. Although this is the last election that we were in, and see, this is not even an election year that I'm even saying this. was fortunate not to have opposition, and I was appreciative of that. But I still campaign like I do. I mean, that's just, my mother and I used to, that's just the way we've campaigned over the years when Mama was alive. And we campaigned that way. But time and time again, this past time, they came to me and they said, Mark, no more, no more. They say, and I would ask them, I say, why? I mean, tell me what you feel. And I would talk to the people, because I always do. And they would say, because of of what's happening to our town, it's so overcrowded in certain areas of Hendersonville. And I go, well, I can't argue that, because it is that crowded. But what we've tried to do is tried to have traffic synchronization, and we are continuing to work on that, and we're beginning to be successful about it. We are also not taking care of what the people has wanted. And it's time for the Board of Aldermen to speak like it should, as an elected official that is elected by the people of Hendersonville, not just a select few that sometimes we do sit up here and consider what they say. But it's for all the people. And I'm not going to sit up here tonight and tell you that 100% of the people of Hendersonville are saying, we want this ordinance. I'm sure there's some out there. But I have yet, I'm going to be very front with everyone. I have yet to have one person say they're against a moratorium for the city of Hendersonville. I have not been contacted by one person, and I thought for sure that I would be, because trust me, I get phone calls every day. But I did not have one, and I was really surprised with that. And I have good friends that are in the development community, and I thought for sure I'd get a phone call or something explain the reason why this is a bad ordinance. This is a good ordinance because it is speaking to the heart of Hendersonville. They don't want what has happened to that, and you know me, I don't ever say this, that city, but the city to the north. They don't want that same thing happening to Hendersonville. Look at Rivergate. They just had one of the, what was that, when you had the cars going around Rivergate parking lot saying, so long, Rivergate, and they're getting ready to put units up there. Cruising. Yeah, the cruising or whatever it was. But my point is, do you think that's not going to affect Hendersonville? Are we going to bring things that have built outside the city that come into Hendersonville to purchase things like at Kroger's or Target? Because it's closer to come to Hendersonville. So yes, we may lose some of that, but we're going to gain because of their development, not Hendersonville. Now let's just talk for a second about traffic for a second, because I had some, I mean, it's because people were talking about the traffic. Our traffic is horrible in this town, although it's a lot better on Main Street. It really is, but it's the coming out onto Gallatin Road. I'm talking Imperial Boulevard, Rockland Road especially. My God, do you ever go up there at traffic time and see how bad it is? I do. My constituents in Ward 1 do. Ward 2 does it as well because they come through there sometimes. So but now with the redistricting, it's basically all of Ward 1, and it's atrocious. How about Walton Ferry Road? How about Saunders Ferry Road? How about Old Shackle Island Road? Although we've got a great project happening and it's working, And I just thank God every day when I pass it that it's finally become a reality. And to be honest with you, Mayor, I thank you and I thank this board for continually pushing for that, because I pushed for years for that project to be built. But this isn't about Mark Skidmore. This is about the city of Hendersonville and how its constituency feels about high-density development. I have voted for the apartments at Monthaven Green, or not Monthaven Green, but Monthaven. I did that years ago on the final reading. And that was a traffic maker. That was back during a different, obviously, a different administration. But it did cause traffic problems. So the only one that I can recall that I did support was what was it again? This last one? Hickory, yeah. I did vote for that, and I tell you what, I would do that again, because I'll tell you why. Go down there and look at it. How nice it is. It's pretty. But the time has come for us to slow down, get our ducks in a row, because I don't want us turning into Rivergate, or even the remote possibility of that happening. And I definitely do not want us as a city to turn into the town to the north. Oh my God. How many times I go there quite frequently, and it reminds me of the way Hendersonville was back in the 80s. It's horrible. The traffic is ridiculous. And they've got apartments everywhere. And then one of my colleagues, and I'll close with this, one of my colleagues mentioned just briefly, and I really appreciate my colleague from 6 saying this. It's not, this ordinance will actually protect our school system in Hendersonville and the surrounding area that Hendersonville is involved in with the county. Although, we don't have our own schools. It's a county issue. But it's going to protect them. Now, I'm not saying that we should support this ordinance forever, because I don't think it's right. But when we get our ducks in a row, that's one of the problems Hendersonville has always had. We always get the cart before the horse. And we go, yeah, this particular site is going to do great things, but you forget about all the other things that come along with this. We're always eager to say all the great things that's going to happen, but we forget about the bad things. And that affects the people who live here. I'm not saying we should just put a gate at our city limits. Like at one time, there was a push for that, basically. And I mean that, in a rhetorical sense. But there was a time when people said, we need to just put gates up at the city limits. And I even said, no, that's not the way to go. Don't do that. We just need to continue on the way we were doing. We care about our fire department. We care about our police department. We're caring about the roads. Look at all the things. I'm proud of this board, of what they've done, what you all have done. From the mayor's office on down. And we may disagree up here, but I think this is something that we can all agree on, that we need to stop right now and consider what has happened all around us, and ask yourself if you want our constituents to be like those folks that live in the town north of us, Nashville. Look what's happened to Nashville, man. Mount Juliet. Do you want to be like that, or do you want to be a community that respects the family, where they can come home, like my constituency, they drive to Nashville and back every day, and I'll close, Mayor. They drive back and forth to Nashville every day. They get to see what high-density development is. I don't want that. I really, truly don't. I want us to be a family-oriented community. I want us to maintain that, where we go to church every Sunday and come home, and then we eat at Indian Lake, or if we have the opportunity, we'll go somewhere else and eat. That's what I want our community to stay. And to put a moratorium on high density for 9 months for us to catch up, I don't see a problem with that. I really, truly don't. And I think that if you vote for this ordinance, the people of Hendersonville will have a different opinion of this board. They will say to you, you heard us. And I appreciated what you stood for. You didn't stand for any special interests. You stood for me. And how many elected officials can honestly sit there and say, tonight or tomorrow or years from now when we're all gone, that board stood for me that day, that night, when it became for this moratorium? Instead of saying it's business as usual. I don't think so this time. We've drawn a line in the sand here. And we need to let the people know how we feel. So I would ask you to support this ordinance for 9 months. And let's continue on the great work that this Board of Mayor and Aldermen has done, and continue on with it. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Evans.
Thank you. Director Free, you're going to get your steps in today, so a couple of questions, please. I want to go back to what Alderman Robertson was getting at and having something to present at the next meeting. But again, I just want to make sure I understand the numbers. So right now, these high density that's already in play that are not vested, how many are we talking about, roughly?
Well, there's none that, it would just be property that's already vacant and zoned multifamily.
Okay.
And currently, that's only 2 parcels.
Okay. So 2 that are zoned for that. Okay. And then the other property, it's, well, speaking of the Westlake, you had said that no more than 5 units per acre, but something could come to us and it might be considered, correct?
Yes.
So I guess here's the point that I want, thank you, that's all I have pointed to you. So here's my point in what I was trying to make, and I appreciate all the comments and what people have said, but I think, I want to say this first of all, I think when people talk about a moratorium, I heard from some people too that said, I don't want any more building at all. It wasn't directed towards high density. It was just like, I don't want anything else. Well, we know that that's not really a reality. And I think when you stop and you have a conversation with them and they realize that what this ordinance is doing, probably, yes, they're okay with that. The reason I'm bringing up a different thought or for something for us to consider is kind of going along with what Director Free was saying. There's not really anything that's on the books. Why would we have something that's on there that's just going to hamstring us And why not just go through the process of, we have a planning department, let them do their work, go through the process, have the planning commission go through their process and look at all these things, and then we as a BOMA can vote on those things. So there's not anything that's in place, so why are we adding another level of restrictions? And I know that we're talking, that this specifically is talking about high density, but I can't help but think about, well, what is this doing to other development, other businesses that we would want to come into our city? We're not, I understand what you're saying, Alderman Skidmore, about we have to listen to the people. And yes, I think people are, we gotta, the traffic, those kind of things. But we also have a good part of our population that lives here and wants to do things here in the city. We don't want them going off to other cities and doing other things. We want to have nice restaurants. We want to have those things that will keep people here in the community, therefore driving more revenue, sales tax revenue, that kind of thing. So my point in this is not so much about voting against the high density development as it is what is it doing to other development that we would want in our city and would need in our city, and is this moratorium going to slow down any kind of development that we would want? So that's what I want to say. And then I also do want to say this one last thing, and this does go towards high density development, and I mentioned it earlier about the generation. If you stop and you think about the big picture of homes that we have in Hendersonville, the home value is in the 600s, or maybe a little north of $600,000. And if you think about my kids and can they afford to have a $600,000 home, well, my kids might be able to do that, but by and large, most people in their generation, the 20s and the 30s, they can't. What are we going to do to try and have that attainable home value where we can keep our kids in Hendersonville? What we're doing is we're driving them out. And if you think about this and you think about, okay, if you're not going to have different ways in which people can buy homes or rent or whatever in different values, it drives the inventory down, it drives the price of homes up, and furthermore, it just drives people out of being able to live here in the city. And that's my concern. I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to live in Hendersonville. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's enough. Thank you.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Alderman Martin.
Thank you. I can't say it any better than Vice Mayor Skidmore and Alderman Bergdorf and Alderman Sassy. I think they were spot on. This is definitely for the community, the citizens. This is for public safety and the welfare of them. And this is not something that they've been asking for over the last 6 months or year. This is something that they've been asking for. I personally have experienced it since we started looking at the Westlake plan, but even further back, as Skidmore mentioned. I also liked the comment from Alderman Roberson. I think we should add the public schools, and I just wanted to invite him to make a motion to add it and stylize it how he would like.
But I just think add it right after stormwater management, comma, public schools.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to, after services, comma, stormwater management, comma, public schools, comma, and overall quality of life.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Our comments now need to be focused on that. I suspect Alderman Martin Robertson, you don't have your buttons pushed to talk about this. You're probably ready to vote on this. Alderman Garza, do you want to speak on this amendment, or do you want to hold off?
Not on the amendment.
Okay. Does anybody need the amendment, the motion restated? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no.
No.
Who do we hear no from? Alderman Evans, anybody else? So that passes with a majority vote, 11-1. Alderman Evans, the only person opposed. We're going to go, appreciate that, y'all. We're going to go back to Alderman Martin. Anything else? Oops.
I'm done.
Okay, appreciate that. Alderman Garza.
Yes, thank you. So I like what Alderman Evans said about having our kids live here. And in order for that to even happen in Nashville, one of the things that's required was high-density living. Because they can afford something that's $100,000 or $200,000 less than the Durham Farms of the world or the Mansfields of the world. But I'm looking at this, and I am in favor of this moratorium, because for two main reasons. One is it's the moratorium for 9 months, and I have a question for Keith to help me on this one. And so at the end of 9 months, that development could still happen. And I have a question for you, Keith. When someone brings a development to the city, and you've made a couple mentions that there's been some approved for a long time now and hasn't started building yet, so I doubt this 9 months would have had any effect on them whatsoever.
Yeah, not on not on any of those projects. That's correct.
That's, I mean, when you get someone comes to you with a development, they're not gonna start building it next week. It could take years for them to get there.
That's correct, that is correct.
So I don't think the 9 months here is gonna really dissuade them, and that's all I had, Keith. And the other point I had was I heard a comment earlier about retail, and, you know, more retail will come. I mean, when Costco shows up, you don't get a bigger footprint than that when it comes to retail. So I don't think this 9-month moratorium will have any effect on the real good retailers coming to our city. They're trying to come now. I mean, they're looking, you know, we've heard rumor that Trader Joe's is looking. They have a population thing and income thing also. So I am in favor of this, and I would like to be added as a sponsor if that's possible.
Without objection, we're going to add Alderman's name as a sponsor. Alderman Garza, anything else?
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Robertson, I have your light lit up. Is that my fault?
I've said too much.
Okay.
Welcome to the ordinance.
We are back on the main motion. It's been amended one time, and that was adding a couple words to the 5th paragraph of whereases. Any other discussion? Jason, you ready for us? Okay. Go ahead. All those in favor of the motion as it was amended, press your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. Missing Alderman Garton, Alderman Collins. Missing Alderman Collins. There we go. This passes 11-1 with Alderman Evans as the only person opposed. Keith, do we have to have a public hearing on this, or will this come back in 2 weeks? Hold on here.
Let's see. Let me check. I believe it's
We need to check on that.
yeah, we'll need to check on that.
Okay.
This is an ordinance, right, Lance?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so,
I think so.
yeah,
Okay.
that's possible that it
Yeah.
would need that.
Well, let's move on, and we'll communicate
We'll have to see.
separately from this. We can't really have a discussion on this at this point. We got to move on to the agenda. So,
Okay.
next we're on Resolution 2025-22. This is a resolution approving an agreement with the Pope John Paul II School for the shared use of city parks and Pope John Paul II school facilities. Alderman Martin. We have a motion from Alderman Martin and a second from Alderman Sassy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-22, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now on Resolution 2025-23, this is a resolution authorizing the city to apply for a Public Entity Partners Safety Partners Grant. We have a motion from Alderman Garza and a second from Alderman Goodwin. Any discussion on this? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-23, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to Resolution 2025-24. This is a resolution authorizing Broken Patta Outfitters LLC to use, for certain use of the city's logo. We have a motion from Alderman Garza, a second from Alderman Sassy. Any discussion? Alderman Garden.
I think that I'm going to vote for this because I want to see our logo out there, and I am really excited for Broken Paddle Outfitters. But I think that there's a couple times now that this has come to us to use the logo, and I think that we need guidelines for that going forward. I would be concerned about our logo being on an item with other graphics or other logos or verbiage that maybe doesn't fall in line with our city. And we do have to protect our city and our brand. So I would like to look at actually having guidelines going forward, so when other people do come to us for this, that we have something in place. And I would like to amend this to say, and Lance, tell me if we can do this, but I'm sure that we could, but before something is sold, before they put our logo on an item, could it come to the city staff for approval? Is that, I mean, if we give them authority to do this, we can make those stipulations.
Lance, can you answer that? I'm sorry, I should turn your microphone.
Yes, there is a license agreement that's attached to this, so if you wanted to make a motion to amend that be included, then we can include that.
Okay.
Where's a good spot to do that?
I'd like to do that.
We could just say that the license agreement be amended to include that the products be pre-approved.
Okay.
And I'll just put it in there
So,
where best.
Page 42, somewhere, probably 1.3, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Alderman Garden, you want to tell us again what you're looking for?
I would like to see staff approval on the products, and I would like no additional graphics with the city logo.
Lance, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
And verbiage. Not just graphics, but verbiage that may go on an item.
Okay. So
I just wouldn't want it to be put on something
okay.
vulgar. Not that they would do that. Just going forward, though, in general.
Okay. What I also think, you've sort of made me think, maybe we ask Lance sometime pretty soon to come forward with an ordinance for us that would give us those guidelines and sort of specify on how we do this, because we have gotten a couple of these. And honestly, I appreciate the fact that they came forward and asked us permission instead of just doing it. What do you want to do?
So that's why I do these license agreements, to add certain protections in there for any situation. The city in these agreements always has a right to inspect and to disapprove of the use if it isn't within the city's standards or preferences. But so we can add whatever you want to add. Yeah.
So do you want to add 1.3? Give me some wording. Alderman Robertson has a suggestion.
Interrupt just a minute.
Absolutely.
I think it's an excellent idea, Alderman Garton, that we establish some policies and procedures. So I wonder if we could just add an additional resolved that would say something like this, that within 60 days, the staff will bring back to BOMA policies and procedures of setting out practices for using city logos. I don't want us to get in a rush and start coming up with policies and procedures, but I'd like for us to think out and let the staff bring back, a recommendation to us, and I'll be glad to help sponsor such a resolution. But I do think we need some guidelines instead of just acting on them ad hoc.
Lance, your feelings on that?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
appropriate.
Okay, so we're going to put that's going to be, give me a page number where that would end up going.
37.
Page 37?
It's going to be a second resolve.
There we go, okay.
So if is that consistent with what you were wanting? So I'll make that motion
Okay.
to add that resolved and to give the city attorney discretion to make the wording correct.
Okay. Alderman Garton, are you okay with that?
I am,
Second?
yes.
Okay. good? Oh. Well, I think we went with Robertson, made the motion, Garten seconded.
Okay, now are we still on the same, the
Yeah.
very one amendment?
Did you
Yes.
make a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you make a motion?
Let's see. I made a motion to add the
Oh,
no
sorry.
graphics, no verbiage, and then
A different motion.
this is a
Okay.
different motion.
Okay, so do you want to go with his motion, or do we want two motions?
Do we need two motions, or just,
Uh,
I think we could, I guess we just,
Just
Well,
we'll go
the-
with
combine.
yours-
Alderman
The
Roberson's
original
and-
motion was to add what, the contract?
Right, well,
I think that would be fine to add, that plus coming up with policies and procedures.
Do you want to make, do you just want to combine them as part of your motion?
I
Alderman
would,
Garden?
if that's
All right.
okay with the,
All right, so that's
Second.
Alderman Garden's motion to combine both of
is
those
that,
things.
is that clear?
No.
we're gonna combine our motions. I'll
So,
Motion for it, and
So we want to add the contract
okay,
as part of the resolution.
okay.
In addition, we want to give the staff 60 days to establish some guidelines and bring back to us for consideration in a resolution,
So that will be the second resolved paragraph.
okay?
Is that, you
That-
okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Garden, are you making that motion, or are you
Yes.
going to second? You're going to make the motion, Alderman Roberts is going to second it?
Yes.
Okay,
How-
okay. Okay, so let's speak specifically on that amendment. Alderman Garden, do you want to add anything on this amendment?
that is all.
Okay, Alderman Sassy on this amendment? Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Well, when I'm done here, I'm going to ask for a clarification of exactly what this is. But my feeling on it is, I love the idea, but if they're just going to be putting a logo on it, maybe there's not much that needs to happen there, right? This is my thinking anyways. So maybe they're able to proceed, but then have to get approval within 60 days, or maybe they don't need approval for something that's just a logo, but if there's any other writing on it, then that would need to be approved. I don't know if I'm making any sense there.
Lance, do you want to answer that one?
Well, what do you think about the Alderman Garden, actually? What do you think about that potential change? Because, if it's just the logo with City of Hendersonville, I don't see, because it's going to be, I would assume it's going to take staff resources in order to have to look at these and approve them. There's going to have to be a process that's put into place, which we haven't outlined yet. So this would kind of trying to alleviate some of that if it's just strictly a logo.
No obligation to answer it, and maybe he makes a motion to amend, I'm not sure. What do you want?
Well, I don't want to
I don't think it'll be a lot coming to staff to look at for now, until we make those guidelines. I mean, I like it the way it is, if you
Okay.
want to amend any.
No, I'm fine with that. I was just thinking out loud. Okay, that's fine.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. We ready to vote on this motion to amend?
One quick question, Alderman Garden, did you say that staff can approve the,
I think so,
Okay.
yeah, staff can approve. Staff
approve the logos? Okay.
Yes.
Any other discussion or clarification on this?
Can you clarify exactly what? None.
Go ahead, Lance, or Annette, who wants to read?
I'll try.
Okay. Hold on here.
Okay. Motion to amend, Resolution 25-24 on, sorry. Yeah, on number 5, I apologize, number 5. The license agreement, hang on, I'm on the wrong thing, sorry.
Oh, we're in trouble if you don't understand.
No, I understand why, and I understand it has been a little bit confusing.
Okay, we're going to amend the license agreement at 1.3 to include staff approval before putting the logo on with that in conjunction with any other graphics and verbiage. And we're also going to add a second resolve to come up with policies and I'm so sorry, with the graphics and verbiage for staff to approve. And as resolve number 2, come up with policies and procedures for the second resolve. That was a mess. Can somebody state that better?
Are you agreeing with what that was?
Yeah,
I think you're pretty close.
second resolve, within 60 days, staff will
Within
set out policies and procedures as guidelines for BOMA's consideration for future use of the city's logo.
And I would like to add where it says with graphics and verbiage, I'd like for city staff to approve the item that it goes on.
Alderman
And
Robertson, are you in agreement with that?
Give a quick explanation possibly of why. I've seen, I'm just going to use an example, our golf course, Country Hills. There have been, and this has not happened obviously in Hendersonville at Country Hills, but I've seen before where someone has sold items with a country club's logo on them with the golf balls, and it was used inappropriately. The balls were on the item inappropriately. And so that's kind of what sparked this and why I want to limit or just know what is going out there before it goes out with our city logo on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially the hand gestures.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
I'll give my hands
so what you're asking to add, where would that, Lance, do you understand where that should go?
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Robertson, do you agree with that change to the motion?
Sure.
Since you made the second?
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions or need for clarifications on this? All those in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion. Anybody wish to speak? We have amended it once. And this is Resolution 2025-24. Any other discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-24 as amended, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on Resolution 2025-26. This is a resolution authorizing the YMCA to install temporary commemorative banners on city-owned flag brackets located above the Main Street Bridge over Drakes Creek in celebration of its 150-year anniversary serving Middle Tennessee and acknowledging its significant contributions to the community. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
We have a motion from Alderman Garza and a second from Alderman Robertson. By the way, we do have, Evans, I'm sorry, somebody down there. We do have the director of the YMCA here if y'all have any questions or if you want to see exactly what the banners are going to look like. Alderman Collins, go ahead.
I would love to see what the banners are gonna look like.
Without objection, we are going to suspend the rules to here. I said executive director, Kathy. What is your actual position? District Executive Director, okay. Kathy, can you come up here because I suspect that we're going to have some questions. And it also gets on camera a little bit better. So Alderman Collins, go ahead.
I don't have any questions for you, actually. I just want to say I expect at least that we're going to talk about establishing a policy for the use of the banners, which is completely understandable that we should do that because we don't want to have to give any examples like Alderman Garten just did ever again. But, but I think that the use of banners to celebrate things that are happening in our community is important. It provides a sense of community. It shows off the positive things that happen here for people who travel up and down Main Street every day. So while I think that we do need some policies to offer guidelines, this would, no matter what those end up looking like, this would certainly be within those. And overall, having things celebrated is going to be beneficial to us and help build a sense of community for everyone. That's it. Thanks.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Goodwin.
I have a concern, and I like the Y. It has nothing to do with the Y. My question is, if we allow the Y to do this, what if we have another nonprofit that we may not agree with what their beliefs are that want to put a sign up? What are we going to do in that instance?
So that's a very valid concern. Should I answer it or?
You can answer
Okay.
it.
So that's a very valid concern. We talked a little bit in committee about this. We do have a list of nonprofits that the city supports financially. And maybe that would be a way that we could restrict it, that, we wouldn't entertain it. We would still need some sort of policy that can't be part of this, but something that our city attorney should probably draw up. At the very least, I would think that they have a location in Hendersonville, at the very least. Which, by the way, so I have requests very often about proclamations from the city, and my first response is, "What's your Hendersonville connection?" And I think that the same should be said with anybody that wants to have banners up there. I don't know that we can address that in this resolution, but it's something that you got me thinking about when we had our committee meeting a couple weeks ago. Or unless, Lance, you think there might be a way to address it in this resolution?
I think that what you said is good.
Okay. Alderman Goodwin, go ahead.
No, that was just my only concern. I mean, I'm okay with the why, but what if the next group that comes along, they're a nonprofit within the city, but maybe I don't agree with that. What are we gonna set up?
Okay. Lance, do you want to get with Alderman Goodwin to look at what the future restrictions on a resolution would be, and I'll give my input as well?
Yeah, will do.
Okay. We'll do that quickly. Okay. Alderman Goodwin, anything else?
No.
Okay, Alderman Evans. Thank you, Alderman Goodwin.
Thank you. I just want to say that as a former board member of the YMCA, I'm in favor of this, and here's why. I like what you said, Mayor, about the fact that we have a list of those nonprofits that we support through our budget, but then also I like the fact that we could have a criteria about them having some kind of presence or building here in the city. But specifically to the YMCA, the fact that that agency has been in Middle Tennessee for 150 years, I think that's significant, and not many agencies, businesses, organizations can say that. And then, Kathy, if I'm not wrong, we've been here in Hendersonville 25 years, and I think that that's significant, and I think this is worthy of our consideration and vote to do this.
As part of the
I'm sorry, Alderman Evans, I got talking to Lance, I'm sorry. So I relayed what you said as far as what some of the restrictions would be. So, was there anything else that you had? Okay, I apologize. Alderman Bergdorf, thank you, Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Garza, do you want to go?
Oh, Alderman Garza was next. Boy, I'm screwing everything up.
That's okay.
Alderman Garza.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This came through general, not tonight, prior, and Alderman Wheel had the same reservations about this. So as we work forward on how we can control this better, what started this was a celebration. So just because you have a 401c or 501c or whatever it is, doesn't mean you can get on the bridge unless you're celebrating something of accomplishment. So I think that's one of the things when you guys start talking about that you should. The other thing I wanted to bring up into this is Beautiful Hendersonville is the one who puts up the banners currently. Well, the city puts them up. Beautiful Hendersonville sponsors them. And I brought it to their attention, and they're very excited about that because we won't have the board of the same banners, all year long. And so they too are very excited about this. That's all I had to say to you.
Alderman Garza, thank you. Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Garza. And ma'am, it's great seeing you again. We've been, like the Evans over there, since the YMCA opened. I think we've been family members, so the Bergdorfs have spent far too many hours in the Y play and in the pool, and it's been a great resource to the community. I certainly want to commend them for 150 years in Middle Tennessee. But it's a great place, and you have great people. We're still members, as a matter of fact. I mean, do you have a longevity discount that you offer? The legacy, that's right, legacy members. But thank you very much for thank you all for the opportunity to do this. And regarding, I wonder if we could rotate alderman faces on flags over the bridge. Is that something we could do? We'll start with the mayors.
I think it's a bad idea to put my face in there. Alderman Bergdorf, thank you, sort of. Alderman Robertson.
So Lance, do we need to amend this resolution to put the condition that, that the recipient or that the person that has the authority to do the banners has to be domiciled in Hendersonville? I mean, again, I understand what had been mentioned, and I would hate for, and I'm going to support this resolution. But do we need to put something in this one so that, you don't think so?
I was gonna already mention to the mayor when we provide some guidelines for Bowman to consider the use of the logo, we can also add guidelines for that.
Then, never mind.
As part of a resolution. Okay.
Appreciate that, Lance. Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-26, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Next, we have Resolution 2025-27. This is the resolution accepting the completion of private streets in Hunt Club, Phase 11, Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee. I need a motion, please. We have a motion from Alderman Collins. Yeah, hold on here. Hold on. Alderman Collins.
I just wanted to mention that Alderman Garton and I didn't ask you this beforehand, but we had been emailed and asked to be sponsored and had agreed to.
Oh, you had?
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you add us as sponsors?
Without objection, we're going to add the two aldermen from Ward 5 where this subdivision it lies, and that's Alderman Garton and Alderman Collins. Okay. We need a motion, don't we?
Yes, we need a motion and second.
Alderman Collins, did you make a motion? Alderman Garton, did you second that? Appreciate that. Alderman Collins, motion?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Wait.
Gotcha.
Wait a minute. Yes, to do the ordinance?
Yes.
A resolution? Yes, we
Yes.
did.
Okay. We're good? Collins and Garton. And they also want to be added as sponsors.
Okay.
And then we got added as sponsors, and that's
Gotcha.
it.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of resolution? Oh. There you go. Alderman Collins, go ahead.
Okay, I did want to just say that the streets that we're adopting are private streets, which means that we don't pave them. But we still adopt them because we still inspect them for drainage issues and safety concerns, and to make sure that they've planted the street trees properly and the sidewalks are there as we agreed to. So even though they are private streets, because I know I'm going to get that question from my neighbors who live in the fancy gated part, that we still take this on.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, I just wanted to apologize for, I was drinking water and I breathed and swallowed at the same time. My third grade teacher told me never do that, and I still am to this day having issues, I guess, with it. But I do want to say to my distinguished lady friend, and 5, she's exactly right, and she stole my thunder on that. So she must have been watching Public Works Committee on that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-27, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we're on to other agenda items. The next item is the vote on appointment of Dan Haskell to the Personnel Board. We have a motion from Alderman Robertson and a second from Alderman Ward. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a new appointment, correct?
Yes.
Do we need to have a resolution or something to include the application that that is submitted with this when it's a new? I know when it's a reappointment, there's no information that needs to be submitted, but on the new appointments, it would be great to have that information. And I just noticed it wasn't included in the packet today.
Does everybody else have it in their packet?
Even this, probably.
Yeah, I didn't have it in mine. Yeah. Now I have it. Thank you.
Should we get a motion? So we have a motion from Alderman Robertson, a second from Alderman Ward. All those in favor of appointing Dan Haskell to the Personnel Board, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we're on brief committee reports. Chairman Garza from the General Committee.
Yes, we met tonight. We had one ordinance, one resolution. The first ordinance was an ordinance to amend Title IV, Chapter 3 of the Hendersonville Municipal Code, approving a pay criteria for lateral transfers within public safety departments. And this comes to our desk believing that it would help recruitment, especially in the police department. And we approve that to come to BOMA. The second was a reading of Resolution 2025-28, and this is a resolution to amend the Nearwater Place Final Development Plan located at 220 Nearwater Place in Hendersonville, and that's the one that's been on the books now for a while. We are sending this to BOMA with a neutral recommendation. And that's our report.
I appreciate that, Chairman Garza. Next, we have Public Safety, Chairman Goodwin.
Alderman Garza just talked about the ordinance that came through about the lateral pay for police officers and firemen. We sent that to BOMA with a positive recommendation. We had a discussion on UTVs and went over some of the things that the police department is doing. They've been going to neighborhoods and trying to educate as opposed to citing at the moment. And we reviewed the numbers of the fire department over time since Station 7 has been in service for a year. That concludes my report.
Chairman Goodwin, thank you. Planning Commission, Alderman Martin.
Thank you. We discussed a preliminary plat, JLR Caldwell. This is at 155 Caldwell Drive. This is adding some estate residential units onto a site. The developer is going to bring us more information on some of the site remediation he's done, so he's deferred that. The other project we discussed was a development plan. This is Nearwater Place, which we also discussed in General Committee. That's basically a request to remove the blanket restriction against leasing units. I believe that will, I think has already been said, is coming here to BOMA on a neutral recommendation. So we'll have further discussion then. Site plans, we discussed Nashville Classic Rentals, located at 318 Rockland Road. They've asked to put on a mural. They showed us the mural and we loved it, so they got approved, 8-0. The other project we discussed, Lakeview Acres, Lot 1. This is owned by the Hendersonville Utility District, and they want to put a radio tower, radio antenna on it. We approved their waiver requests, all except for one, which is they still need to continue to have a licensed engineer submit a letter that there's no dangerous or explosive materials on that property. Staff level projects approved, Ferguson Acres Lot 2 amendment, Friends at Indian Lake Park, Frank Melia Jr. property, Glen Oaks Commons renovation, MGM Industries on Freehill Road, Millstone Phase 6, WA Shivel Addition Consolidation 136 and 138, Wells Fargo ATM, staff level projects pending Forest Retreat, Mansker Farms, and MTO Properties, our partners property consolidation. And then the planning director comments. Our next Hendersonville Planning Commission meeting, we're going to go over the recommended zoning ordinance revisions to BOMA and adopting the changes in the subdivision regulations. So the BOMA will get a chance to look at those in the near future. That concludes my report.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Chairman Robertson, Capital Projects Committee.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a moment of personal privilege I would like to take. All of you know that Alderman Garton's father passed away, and I think they had the funeral, was it last week? And I would like to express, I believe, the sentiment of the board that we're sorry for his passing, and we send our condolences for your dear father. I have 2 daughters, and I know how close daughters are to fathers. So I just wanted to have a little human touch there. Capital Projects met last night, and staff did an excellent job. Wasn't happy because many of the projects are being delayed, but the staff is working hard with TDOT, working hard to try to get these projects moving forward. The staff outlined to us the implementation of the Transportation Capital Improvement Plan. In that, there are 9 projects that the staff is going to use the $3 million that we allocated in the budget to begin design work on those projects. So, guys, we are moving forward. We pushed the staff that hopefully this year there would at least be some shovels in the ground on some of these projects. So we had a good meeting. All members were present, and the meeting lasted exactly 1 hour. So thanks to the staff for all of their hard work for making that meeting successful. Thank you.
Chairman Robertson, thank you. Jesse, our BOMA report. And by the way, so we're going to have a question at the end of the BOMA report. I need some participation in, and it deals with something Jesse's going to bring up. Go ahead.
Well, that's news to me. I'm going to piggyback on capital projects. One of the projects we talked about was LED conversion. So there's over $2 million of LED conversion that's going to happen throughout the city for NES, existing NES street lights. So that will happen this fiscal year. So just be on the lookout for that. We're going to go through the BOMA report. This is the same report that we get every month. A couple things to highlight when we look at local sales tax revenue, July through June, it is up 5%, so that's an excellent statistic. Investment earnings, we did $133,000 this month, which is $9,900 less than the same time last year, but still $133,000 is good. If you go ahead and go to the next slide, you will see that local sales tax and permit revenue is up about the same amount that the general fund operating expenditures are up. So pretty good match there. We can go through 69 to 70. That's the PIP fund. So this kind of is most of the year for the PIP fund. We'll have a couple more months that roll into this as we close out our accounting. If you go to page 71, you'll see both for fire and police, it looks like a flat line for those graphs. That's just because we only have 1 month of data, but we're within what I would say is normal for both of those departments. And again, we'll see police now start to trend normal because we started picking up in-service calls to when we saw that spike in August of 2025. So those graphs will correlate 25 to 26 more closely now. There's not a whole lot that's new or exciting in here. If you go to page 75, it gives all the events that are going on in the park, so a lot going on in the parks. And then on 76, we are starting over with our stormwater and paving and lane miles. We're going to be paving as quickly as we can. We've already started some projects and we'll continue to do those, but it'll be exciting to have a lot of lane miles paved this year. So I'm going to go into another topic, but before I do, are there any questions on any of the data in the BOMA report?
Alderman Sassy.
Yeah, thank you. Sarah, I just got actually the mayor and I got a message just this week just saying thank you for paving Forest Retreat. So just wanted to relay that to you. They were ecstatic about all the work that's happened there, and it does. It looks beautiful. That area, if you guys haven't driven through there yet, go down Forest Retreat, that western end of Forest Retreat, and it is fantastic. I mean, you know how narrow that road is, and it feels like you're gliding on air. It's beautiful. Love it. So really appreciate it. That's all.
Alderman Collins.
Yes, Jesse, earlier today I was kind of surprised to learn that we had 15 openings in the police department, because I think that's gone up. I'm not really sure though. So I was hoping that you could flesh out the section that's currently on page 77 where you talk about the list of active recruitments, and for police, maybe it would be helpful if other people think it would be helpful for fire as well, but for all of them actually, I would like to know if there's more than one position in that category. I'm assuming it's one animal control officer, but sometimes we might have parks maintenance or public works, people who work on the road crew. And I would like to know if it was more than one, but I'd like to have some more information in all of the reports, if nobody objects, for police department and maybe fire as well, as far as how many positions are open, how many people are in the academy, or their first year in training, or like out of the academy but in that first year where they're not really up and running yet.
So these might be too many questions for spur of the moment with details. Fortunately,
No, I'm not asking for them now.
Okay.
I'm asking for them to be included in future reports.
Sure. So we can list, like we have title department, we can list number as well. Typically it's one, but with police right now it's multiple. And when I state there's 15 vacancies, that is not including the people in training. So if you're in academy and you're training, you're not counted as a vacancy. So there's several that are in training. So we don't have, maybe 20 on the street right now because maybe 5 or 6 are in training, but they're not counted as vacancies. So we have 15
That's
vacancies
important to
in PD
know
on top of that.
How many are really not completely up and running and how many actual vacancies there are. I'd like to have I'd like to see it in every report and see what, if any, progress we are making. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Collins. Alderman Evans.
Yeah, along with that, Jesse, I'll just, sorry, I couldn't get it out. I like what Alderman Collins is saying there, but I think what would help me is what's the total approved positions as far as budgeted positions by the departments, what is filled, and then what is vacant. And I'll tell you why I'm asking that, because in several different situations over the last couple of weeks, I've heard anywhere from, of our public safety officers, that we have 240 to 250 to 260 to 275, and I don't know what's the right number. On the survey that we had, it came in that there were 260 public safety officers. I saw something, I think, today where it said 275. So I don't know what the discrepancy is, and we need to be careful that we're being consistent with the numbers that we're putting out. So I think having that along with the human resources page, having and I wasn't thinking about all the other departments, but maybe we should. But primarily, I want to know where we are with police and fire, because that's where the vacancies have been, and just to see if we're having any movement of the vacancies. And I know there's some ebb and flow with that. You have some that leave, you hire some others, but it seems to me like we're kind of stuck in the police department at that 15 vacancy. So that's what I'd like to see on the report going forward too, please. Thank you.
Sure, that's not a problem. In the budget, we list out every position and the total positions for each department. So in the budget, when we approve it, we know exactly how many positions and that we are budgeting for full-time. So we'll just copy that information, we can put it in here, and then keep a list of the vacancies in those departments as well.
And I'm not looking for every position, I'm just looking for a summary of the department, if it's 120 positions.
Sure, and sometimes with police and fire, they have their uniformed personnel, and then they have their office personnel, and sometimes you lump, like your certified officers are just your officers, but yet you have another 15, support staff that are in the office. So we can see what we can do to itemize that as clean as we can on this report.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
So, do we know why the police have such a large vacancy? Are they retirements? Are they leaving for other positions? And maybe the police officer that's here can answer those. But or we've got assistant chief here that could help. But do we know, Jesse? I mean, do we have any feeling for why?
The guys who run our training program said recently they've seen a bigger turnout of recruits.
Good.
So that's good news. You know, a lot of times, not every agency, but most agencies, when you talk to them, are going through very similar situation that we're going through with police. It's just not as desirable as a profession for some folks to be in. Now, the lateral transfer, which we're doing this evening, or that we considered this evening, can help. I don't know that it's specific to the city of Hendersonville. And so Chief Jones and I have been working on some other things that may help too, and we'll probably have some announcements soon for that. You know, the pay is obviously going to help, but I'm sure that all the agencies are just going to start competing on pay as that comes up too.
Well, in public safety, I commended the fire department for managing, you know, opening a new station with existing staff, and I meant that sincerely. So I want to also give some kudos to the police department. With these large vacancies, you're still keeping our city safe. So please take back how much we appreciate to your colleagues, to your team. You know, that even with these shortages, you know, our city is still safe, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Jesse, go ahead.
Okay, if you pull up the next PowerPoint, I'm just going to give you an update. This isn't anything we need to decide on tonight, but at the next Finance Committee, we're looking through the state's plan right now, the employee medical plan, so we'll probably have something to Finance Committee to consider at their next meeting. We currently use an independent broker with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And this year, we had some of our premiums increase 21% for our health costs. So a significant increase. Those went effective July 1, 2025. Our current plan has 3 medical options and then 3 sub-options. So you can have basically the premium, the standard, and then the HSA plan. And within that, you can choose if you want to be family or single. So there's 9 options total. The state of Tennessee offers the ability for cities to piggyback onto their negotiated medical plans. They had an 8% increase this year. So overall, they were 8%. We had some of our plans go up 21%. And we had the plans that most of the folks are on go up to 21%. For whatever reason, those were the plans that went up the most. The state offers Blue Cross Blue Shield, same as we do, and they offer Cigna. So up to the employee, there's no cost difference. The state also has 4 medical plan options versus our 3, and they have 4 sub-options within their plans versus our 3. And when we looked at the state plan, the cost to the city would be neutral, and the cost to employees decreased in 9 out of 12 plans on a monthly premium basis. And so when we considered 316 employees and retirees who are on the medical, there were 66 whose plan would increase a little bit and 250 who would see a decrease in their rate. And that's going to be based on this next slide where there's a percentage of employer funding levels. So the column on the left are the state's plans that they offer. And then if you look at the existing column, which is kind of in the middle, that is what the city currently contributes. The employer contributes to an employee. So if you're on that local CDHP HSA plan and you're an employee only, right now the city pays 95%. And so the column next to it is what we'd be considering under a new funding ratio. So we'd say, hey, under that, you know, if we go to the state's plan, we'd offer 95% for the employer to fund that level. And so then on the far right, it says, under this proposed plan, is there a difference in what the employer would give to the city under the existing and the considering plan, so the state versus the local. So if you look in the far right column, if we follow the considering column, which starts at 95% and then just drops 5% as the plans go down, the majority of the plans would be increased by a percentage of what the city would fund for that medical plan. And this is where, under this scenario, we would save, I think, over 200 employees actually save on their medical plans, and it's cost neutral or a little bit less to the city, and there's more plan options. And there's a couple, like if you see Premier PPO, the employee goes up 1% on that employee only. The standard PPO, it goes down 4%, but on those plans also the deductibles through the state are a little bit lower, so the out-of-pocket expense for the employee, even though they'd see a little bit higher of an increase on a premium, their out-of-pocket would be lower. We're still going through all the information because we just got the rates from the state, but this will probably be coming to Finance Committee. I don't know if there's a need for any information, if you guys want any additional information on this, but just so you know, we are considering this. It looks like it'll be a good thing for the majority of the employees, and it's not going to cost the city any extra money to do it, so we won't have to do a budget amendment. It gives you one extra plan, it gives you more options within the plan, and it allows you to go to Cigna, which you currently can't do. The state would administer a state medical plan, which is awesome for our admin team because they don't have to do it every year. And if we adopt this considering policy, then it's just very automatic for us. Because right now, as you can see, if you look at existing, we're 95%, 81, 80. We don't do that. Limited PPO, 89, 72, 72, 70, 81, 62. It's not a nice, clean, even break. And we've changed some of these ratios over the year to try to hold employee costs. So if we just adopt a percentage that we do, it works out better for the employees under this scenario. And going forward, whatever the state adopts, we just say, depending on which plan you're in, this is how much the city would cover. Obviously, that could change year to year based on BOMA's approval, but this just gives a nice, clean schedule that we could follow. So that'll probably be coming to finance next meeting. The state just gave us these rates, but open enrollment for them is October, which means we need to start educating our employees in September, which means and they won't come out and give our employees education until we get under contract with them. So that's why we're kind of moving quickly on this. We just heard about it, and we don't have a lot of time if we want to educate our employees and go into open enrollment in October. Their plans go effective also on a calendar year. Right now, we're a fiscal year, so it's kind of hard to juggle deductibles. You just get confused on when the deductible is. So state offers a 2-year plan, and they reset every January on the calendar year, which is I think beneficial too, because it's confusing when you switch carriers in the middle of a year for your deductible amount. So that's just kind of an FYI. If you guys want any information, feel free to reach out to me. Jason has a ton of information too. We just sent an email out to employees letting them know that we are considering this. So this will probably be at the next Finance Committee meeting. Okay. That concludes my report.
Appreciate that. Jason, this is covered in the budget ordinance, am I correct? Correct. Okay. This does not need board approval, am I correct?
From a cost standpoint, no.
Okay. So Jesse and I have talked about this. Jason and I have talked about this. Lance as well. Jesse mentioned it's going to go to the Finance Committee. We just want input from the Finance Committee. It also gives our staff some time to give some input as well. Right now, I do not have it scheduled anything other than the Finance Committee. If y'all would like to have a workshop on this, that's fine, or we can leave it to the Finance Committee. So I sort of need some of y'all's input on that. Workshop means we have to schedule a time, and I expect y'all to be there. Finance Committee meets typically on a Tuesday, and as we're already headed here. So we can't take any vote on this, but if what I'd appreciate is in the next day or so, send me an email if you would like a workshop. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it to the Finance Committee, and then you can come there and participate in their meeting. So if you'd like a workshop, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go with what Jesse said, and the Finance Committee in 2 weeks will give us some input on this. So, okay. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. And just so you all know, the Finance Committee meeting is the 26th at 6 p.m. So come on by and you'll get a chance to hear it. Advertise that for everyone else out there too. Jesse, if you could go back to that slide, something we talked about previously, the one previous to this, is how the insurance carriers determine the rate of increase. Can you kind of explain that and why it's 21% and why the state plan is then also only went up 8%? Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. So the state has a much larger pool. So, when this could work for us or this could work against us. But the insurance plans are on a recovery. So if they have a recovery ratio that they want to hit, say it's 90% or 80%, if we go and say we're spending 110% of what Blue Cross is collecting on us as a city. Say we have multiple surgeries throughout the city from employees, and it's costing them, 10% more than they're collecting. Then they're going to look at what they're getting, and they're going to assess our next year's premium to collect as much as it's costing them plus some additional. So, we've had significant increases the last couple of years in a row, especially this year. And so it's cost recovery for them, plus they need to make their margin. So if there's a bigger pool like the state, and maybe it's not going to blip up and down as much as ours will, it might be a little more even. That's how the insurance companies are gonna set their rates. They're gonna need to meet their costs plus have their margin. So if our costs are really high as a city, they're gonna raise their rates on us.
Yeah, and what did you say our percentage was last year to their cost ratio?
It was
Jason,
over
what was it?
100%.
130.
Yeah.
130%.
Yeah.
So for every $100 that our employees paid in, they paid out $130. Yeah, that's not a very good business model.
No.
So, but that's also including only what? How many employees?
Well, we have 316 employees and this is employees and retirees who are on the medical plan. So, I mean, if you have a couple employees who have major surgeries, it'll spike that, and then we have a small pool to spread that across.
And what's the state's pool? Like tens of thousands, I would assume,
Yeah,
right?
I would assume it's a lot.
So
I don't
think
think
this
it's-
is a great thing for our city, great thing for our employees especially. And I look forward to seeing it at finance. Thanks.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Evans.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Jesse, and to the team and Jason for doing this. I know we've talked a lot about it, and I think this is a great benefit for our employees. This is I've heard from several of them, and they wanted to have something like this, especially with the estate plan. I like the fact that we're going to be a part of a bigger pool, so hopefully it will help keep the costs a little bit more level. And I also like the way you've laid it out with the steps, if you will. That's the way I look at it is, each one of the, go to the next slide if you don't mind, just so we ever, what you're considering, that you're kind of doing away with all the different percentages and everything, and that you're actually looking at everything's going down by 5% at each of the steps. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. But I like that. I like the way it looks, and it's cleaner and it looks simpler.
Yeah, one of the things with not having steps is years ago, when we had to make the switch to Cigna, it was because we held the employee cost flat until a point where it broke and we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they had to switch to a provider, which, not a lot of folks like. So if we just lock in a rate and we keep it that, and it's kind of automatic, it's a lot easier, definitely administratively. So I think it will work well.
Thank you, Alderman Evans. Alderman Collins.
I applaud this decision. I think it makes a lot of sense. One of the things we talked about is because the state's on a calendar year and our insurance plan's on a fiscal year, and people pay deductibles, so they would have already started, if not completely paid their deductible, and then they'll have a new one. Have we figured out how to transition for the employee to not have two deductibles?
Yeah.
So part of the timing on this was so that we honored those deductibles. So our current plans in the past have always worked. The deductibles have always been on calendar year. Our cost renewals have been on fiscal year. So there was always a confusion with employees as you talk to them that they would switch a plan and they think their deductibles would reset, but they wouldn't. So by going in January, the state is on a calendar year. It resets no different than it does right now. So if we stayed on our existing plan and we hit January, their deductibles would all reset January 1. So it's not going to be a change for employees from that perspective. It will be cleaner because most companies will work off of a open enrollment for an effective January 1. So this kind of trues everything up. When we talk to the state and when I talk to them about options, one of the reasons that we didn't move sooner on this is they don't recognize and they won't carry over any payments that have already been made toward deductibles. So had we switched over in July, if an employee spent $5,000 in the year so far, then they'd be out of luck. and they'd have to start all over for the next 6 months and then start all over in January.
Okay,
So by doing this, it is consistent with how it's operated, but it's also making sure that we're not asking employees to pay more than deductibles than they need to.
thank you.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Thank you, Jason. Jesse, anything else? Alderman Goodwin.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second from Alderman Collins. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all for your work tonight. Y'all have a good night. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, JP.